Okay, so welcome to the September 2020. Yay, we're almost three quarters through this crazy year with the Alice Task Force meeting. So, as usual, we'll save kind of a round of introductions and updates on what services are available that we want to report out and what's going on in the community at the end. But to kick things off, I'd like to introduce Dave Darrow. He's with the Idaho Department of Labor, and he's gonna spend some time sharing with us some of the resources that are available there. So Dave, why don't you give yourself a little bit more of an introduction and then tell us what's up.
Okay. Well, thank you, and it's good to be on the call. Again, my name is Dave. I manage the Department of Labor office here in Post Falls. I've got about 24 years almost with the department, and I've started in the Coeur d'Alene office when we were actually in Coeur d'Alene. I was there for about 7 years, went to Bonners Ferry, managed our office there for a number of years, and then relocated to Moscow. Managed our office in Moscow for about 8 years, and just came back here about a year ago when Vicki left. And I have thanked her profusely because it gave me a chance to come back, and my family's all here, so it's nice to be back and have time with grandbabies and kids, and my mom lives here, and so get a chance to spend time with all of them. Although a significant portion of my time has been in management because I manage small offices, it's been more as a working manager, and so I've worked with the general public with our services in all capacities. So just to kind of start and give a little bit of a update of where things are at with the Department of Labor and how things are functioning. I'll just start with kind of one of the easiest things and probably right now has been the most utilized service has been unemployment insurance. And of course, everybody's probably already familiar with the fact that unemployment is all done online and remotely from that perspective. So when COVID hit, the transition, at least as far as filing for unemployment, wasn't significantly impacted in that respect. Where we had the greatest impact was just the sheer numbers. And for a number of months, we're significantly behind. But at this point, we actually are all caught up. Unemployment is still very active. Probably the most active side of unemployment right now is the fraud activity. Unfortunately, there are, I think I talked to somebody yesterday, we're getting probably in the neighborhood of triple-digit unemployment claims filed on a regular basis, almost on a daily basis, that are fraudulent attempts. There are a number of groups, both within the United States and outside of the United States, that are hitting states pretty rapidly with fraudulent claims. So a lot of vigilance on that side. But people can file directly through the website. Again, if people aren't familiar with the website, labor.idaho.gov is our main site, and everything can be accessed from there. We have added a call center to our normal staffing levels. That took place about 3 months ago. We actually contracted with Maximus, added about 150 additional claims specialist and through Maximus to handle the call volume, and that still is in place and will be in place through the end of the year. So individuals can contact us, or the easiest thing is we now have a 800 number. It's 833-410-1009 that they can call directly related to their unemployment side of things. There are a number of special programs out there still related to COVID. Everybody may already be aware that early on in the process when COVID hit, there was an additional $600 added to unemployment from the federal program. That has since expired and ended. The president did implement an additional $300. Idaho did sign on for that. Currently, we have paid out 4 weeks with that additional 300. There may be one additional week, and it looks like the funds for that particular program have now ended. It was some special FEMA money that they were utilizing, and so we're looking at basically just 5 weeks that people receive that extra $300. So currently, people can file regular unemployment. There is a pandemic extended unemployment compensation program that adds an additional 13 weeks or up to an additional 13 weeks of benefits for an individual. That will remain in place through December 26th, excuse me. That'll be the last week that that program is in effect. And then there is, we are currently in a, as well in a state extension time period, where if a person exhausts their regular unemployment, exhausts the PEUC, which is the extended unemployment compensation from the federal program, they may be eligible for an additional amount of weeks through a state extension. And that will remain in place as long as the unemployment rate remains high. We have some triggers within the state that regulate that. So as long as the unemployment, which is currently at about 8.6%, stays high, that will stay in place. And the other additional program is still what they call PUA, which is Pandemic Unemployment Assistance, and it was a program implemented to primarily gear towards those individuals that weren't eligible for regular unemployment benefits. So individuals that were self-employed, individuals that maybe didn't have enough wages to establish an unemployment claim. It could be individuals that exhaust their regular benefit, exhaust extended benefits, and between all of the programs, they can potentially be eligible for about 39 weeks of benefits. So there's a lot of, on the unemployment side, there's a lot of things to help provide assistance for individuals. So moving off of the unemployment, and again, that's all done either by phone or online. The rest of our services are all provided through the local offices. Currently, the office is closed as far as to walk-up or walk-in customers, but we are open and available to individuals by appointment. So they can call the local office and we can allow them to come in. They can get access to a computer. So if they need to do job search, if they need to complete a application online, if they need to submit a resume, if they need to create a resume, all of those type of services, if they need access to a computer and to the internet, they can actually set an appointment to come in to the office and utilize a computer. They can also utilize the printer and fax machine and copy machine if they want to make copies of a resume and that type of thing. We are setting up appointments of 45 minutes at a time. That allows us a 15-minute window then to sanitize and clean things and get it ready for the next person to come in. If a person is going to need longer than 45 minutes, we can double those time slots up and they can continue to operate. Right now we have, in the Post Falls office, we probably have about 8 to 10 computers that we can make accessible. So we'd be looking at roughly 8 to 10. We're not getting that much traffic yet, but there are all of those things available to individuals. And then if they need help with filing an unemployment claim and they don't have internet access of their own, they can come in and we can help them at least file the claim. We can't answer any questions related to their unemployment, but we can at least provide assistance for that. Again, we do ask that people call first, set up that appointment time slot, basically from 9 o'clock in the morning until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Every hour we can establish an appointment for an individual and have them come in. Like I said, we do it on the hour, give them 45 minutes. If they need additional time, we can set them up for a second time slot. And then after that 45 minutes, we do have them leave so that we can sanitize everything and get it ready for the next person coming in. Currently, we have a security guard at the front door that greets the individuals, lets them in, and then we have our staff that provides them assistance, continuing to maintain social distancing within the office, within the and with the staff. And then a portion of our staff is all working from home and rotates into the office to help with those individuals that are coming in for appointments. We can help them putting together their resume. A lot of things we're still doing via the phone. So if a person is looking for work, needs some information related to the labor market, wants to find out where jobs are or to do a job search, if they have internet access, they can contact us. We can help them get registered, get access to our job listings. We can talk with them about other places where they might look for work based upon the type of work that they're looking for. We can give them a lot of information related to that. If they need help putting together a resume, again, if in some cases, depending on the person's level of technology that they have access to and their comfortableness with that, a lot of cases we can help a person right over the phone create that resume, have them email it, we can review it, make any corrections necessary, help them facilitate that. In a case where they need a little more hands-on attention, again, we can set up an appointment, have them come in, meet with a staff person, and get that hands-on assistance. Where I want to spend a majority of my the rest of the time this morning is just talking about the Workforce Innovations Opportunities Act, the program under which we can provide financial assistance to individuals that are pursuing employment or need to update skill sets, both soft skills and hard skills as far as getting prepared and ready for employment. So the Workforce Innovations Opportunities Act has three basic sub-programs within it that we operate. The first one is a youth program working with youth from the age of 16 through 24. For our purposes, those youth have to be out of school youth. There is a program that Voc Rehab administers that actually works with youth that are currently in school. So all of our youth program works with youth that are currently out of school. So it can be a high school dropout. It can be an individual that's graduated from high school but not yet enrolled in college. It can be a youth that didn't complete high school at this point and is maybe pursuing their GED. We can work with them. As a part of that program, we can help them both with gaining skill sets for employment purposes, helping them pursue their GED. Within the program, we can actually provide them a financial incentive for completing their GED and getting into the classes. We can help pay for the testing part of that. If the youth is already completed all of that, is contemplating college, we can, in some cases, or some other type of schooling, short-term schooling or training, we can assist with financial cost of the schooling. We do not pay for a 4-year degree, but short-term type of training, 2-year programs within NIC or the Workforce Development Training Center, or other short-term types of training that a person might need to get into in order to obtain livable wage type employment. We can provide them financial assistance to accomplish that. We can also work with youth that maybe have real limited skill or no background with employment and just need to get some ideas about what direction they want to go, what would they like to pursue. So we do internships, we can do work experience situations where we actually employ the youth, put them at work in a lot of cases with nonprofits or government entities, give them a chance to experience employment, see what it's like, different types of work that we can help them get access to, and through that program then get some ideas and direction of where they want to go. Of course, we can also take and work with them and through labor market information, a few other processes that we can do with them, help them get an idea based upon their interest and the things that they enjoy doing, what type of occupations might be good for them to consider as far as pursuing if they don't really have an idea of what they want to be when they grow up. So we do some different assessments with them and so forth that help with that process. In some of those situations, we can even help them with gas. If they need assistance with gas, we can help sometimes with childcare cost on a limited basis. We can help with some minor repairs on vehicles, helping get tires if the tires are wearing out, get assistance with again an oil change or something if that becomes a deterrent or something that's preventing them from continuing either in their education or in their work search activities. And so with that's the youth program. There's for adults, there's two basic programs. One is a dislocated worker program, works with individuals who have lost employment and who have been, as a result, long-term unemployed. When we say long-term unemployed, realistically, we're only looking at about a 4-week time frame with that. And so in cases where a person has lost their job, basically at no fault of their own, they qualify for unemployment. They can potentially qualify then as a dislocated worker. Same basic scenario as far as with the youth program. We can provide a lot of assistance with the individual if they're looking to change maybe their career, if what they were doing before is maybe an obsolete industry. They need to look at the ability to do something else, or maybe they were just involved in something that didn't provide a livable wage and they want to take advantage of this opportunity. We can help provide assistance financially again in getting training. Again, we look at short-term type of trainings, not long-term 4-year college degrees, that type of thing. So we work directly with the Workforce Training Center and some of the other programs in the area, NIC, LCSC, and for that matter, even the University of Idaho, especially with individuals when they're maybe in their last couple of years of school and need some assistance. Again, with even the dislocated worker program, there are things that we can help. Even in some cases, we can help even with rent. So a person maybe is struggling, they need some help with paying their rent as a part of the program. Sometimes we can provide that assistance on a short-term basis so that they can continue to do what they need to do to find employment and get into livable employment. We also do on-the-job training with individuals. So again, in those types of situations, we may pay a portion of the wage, and the employer may pay a portion of the wage. If we're dealing with somebody who maybe has no skill sets, then again, we can look at some other avenues to help them increase what those skill sets are. The adult program predominantly is geared towards those individuals that are low income. Although we do have a little bit of flexibility, we have the ability to enroll a percentage of individuals that maybe based upon other circumstances, find themselves in a difficult situation and in seeking employment. And so it's not limited just to that or just to individuals that are low income, but that has to be our greatest and highest priority when it comes to the adult program. And as with the dislocated worker program, we can provide with tuition costs for short-term educational opportunities. Again, we can provide assistance with OJTs, internships. We can help with car repairs. We can help possibly with rent expenses. In cases where maybe it doesn't make sense for us to provide assistance, sometimes what we'll do is work with an individual and say, okay, we can't pay for this, but maybe we can pay for these things, which will then free up money for them to be able to afford to pay for whatever the other part of that is. We try to work with a lot of other agencies when a person qualifies for other assistance, and then try to spread out some of that assistance with individuals so that it doesn't fall onto the backs of one particular entity as well. So a lot of the other different agencies and service providers in the area, we work closely with them. So as you're coming in contact with individuals, if again their primary area of struggle is obtaining employment or even retaining employment, maybe based upon certain skill sets, they can't hold on to a job. Some of the soft skill type of things. We can sit down with an individual, do some assessment, and help to provide them avenues under which to provide assistance with those types of circumstances, and hopefully then get them to a place where they are better suited to maintain employment on a long-term basis. On all three of the programs, as far as an intake process, if an individual just contacts us, again, they can do that either through the website, they can call us, and then at least currently, and eventually when the office does open back up, of course, they can just come in. We do have a short application process that we have the individual go through. We have them get registered through our system online. We can help them with that process as well. And then once we get them registered, the questionnaire that we have helps us determine what program they are best suited for and where we might be able to provide them assistance. In cases where maybe they're not suitable for either one of the programs, we can continue to provide assistance to them as far as their job search is concerned, just through our employment service side of things. Again, we can have a staff person work with them in obtaining a resume, putting that resume together, getting information about where to take that resume, what's available in the labor market. We can help individuals with interviewing skills. If somebody needs help, we have access now to a program called Big Interview. And when a person, Big Interview actually will give opportunities for people to respond to interview questions that are industry specific, and they can record themselves answering the question. That information will then go to an expert within that industry, and they will get feedback on their response. Then they can also do look through some videos and research information about how to answer certain questions, what types of questions might be asked based upon certain industries, and then they can look and get some samples of ways to answer those questions. Big Interview also will help people create a resume, walk them through a process to do that, and they can have a basic resume as they get through that. So somebody, individual contacts us, and there's a question that popped up: is Big Interview only available to WIOA? No, it is not. We do have to provide a code to an individual to get access to that, but it's not limited just to our WIOA participants. So we can, even on the employment service side of things, provide that assistance. All they have to do is contact us, We can get them a code and they can get access to that. The code actually primarily just gives us the ability then to track the usage of it and how much it's being utilized and where we need to place our emphasis. And then also, Big Interview is a program used nationally. And so it isn't all of the information, although industry specific, isn't necessarily geographical in nature. And so there are cases where maybe the information that's provided may not be as relevant for our area. And so sometimes we try to also work with a person directly so that we can continue to give them some additional insight as to our local area and what may or may not be relevant based upon what they're hearing from an industry expert in that. So like I said, we have the Big Interview, and that can work across platforms with individuals. There's also on our website, labor.idaho.gov, an immense amount of information accessible both from a job seeker perspective, but also from a business perspective. There's access to, for business purposes, all of the necessary posters that a business has to have posted. All of those are accessible for free off of our website. So when you get those handy little letters in the mail that say, send us your money, we'll send you out these employment related letters. Don't pay the money, it's all a scam. And we can provide all of those posters to you absolutely free. You can actually print them right off of our website as well. There's labor market information available to employers, and then of course access to employers for all of the other additional tax information, those types of things. With all of our programs, there are additional programs that sometimes businesses have access to. So if they need assistance with bonding because they're working within an industry where people have to be bonded, if they're working with some individuals, their avenue under which to bond a person may not cover certain individuals. We have a program that may allow for that to take place, where we can provide the bond actually for that individual. There's tax breaks that some businesses, if you, for instance, hire a felon, there are tax breaks that a business may be able to get access to, and we can provide the assistance on getting access to those programs as well, and help employers be able to service those. But you know, again, our primary goal, and just the thing to remember is although the office isn't open to the walk-up customer, all of these services we can provide locally within the office. When necessary, again, we do work with people in order to maintain the safety and social distancing over the phone. But when it is required or in the best interest of the participant, we will have them come into the office and meet directly with individuals. In our region, we do have an office here in Post Falls, and then the other location is in Sandpoint. For those that maybe had exposure to some of our mobile locations that were open previously, currently those mobile locations are closed. For those that maybe aren't even familiar with that, what happened is our smaller offices in some of the outlying communities. So in our area, we had an office in St. Mary's, office at one time in Kellogg, and then in Bonners Ferry. All of those locations actually closed, and we went to what we call mobile units that worked out of other locations on a rotating basis. So in some cases, they were working out of libraries, community centers, city halls, other service providers in local areas, and they had a specific path that they maintained throughout the week and times that they were available. We currently are not doing that. In some cases, some of the locations that we were in are still closed as a result of COVID, but we will be reopening those sites. More than likely, we're looking at somewhere around March of 2021 to reopen some of those sites as we get through winter time and head into spring. We'll work on getting those locations back up and going. In the meantime, our one-stop centers, again, the office here in Post Falls, and then the office in Sandpoint, will be servicing those areas as needed and helping individuals there. So everything is available to those individuals in those areas. Those services will all be just provided through Post Falls, or in our area, Sandpoint, in order to service those. So that's kind of the specifics on all of the different services. Any questions that anybody might have?
So when I'm working with a client, especially like young people, sometimes the best thing to do is if they leave the office, it's pretty likely that they won't make the call to you guys. Is there a way that we could call for them and set up the appointment so that when they leave here, they have an appointment already to talk to someone or see them in person? Is that available in the Sandpoint area?
Yes. So you can call either local office at any time. So even while you have them in your office, if you just call us. So even our staff that is working from home, all of them are on the phone rotation. So if you call into our local office, in most cases you will get one of either myself or one of my staff, and we can set those appointments up. In some rare cases, you may get somebody in a different office, but in those cases, they can transfer you to one of the staff in my office, and then we'll just set up the appointment, and it'll be ready for them to come in.
Okay, thank you.
And just locally, as far as the Post Falls number, 208-457-8789 is the number here. And then there's a couple of different menu options, but just follow the menu prompts to get through to a consultant, and they'll
Thank you.
Dave, I have a question. You mentioned and I am kind of familiar with this, but I know that there are programs, tax incentives for businesses that hire felons, but are there payroll assistant programs for nonprofits who hire felons? You know, because nonprofits don't have pay taxes anyway, so.
Right. There's not, I mean, in the only way as far as that is concerned is if we are working with a nonprofit, there are, and somebody's enrolled in WIOA, we can in certain circumstances offset a portion of that individual's wages, but it would only be for a period of time. I mean, our ultimate goal, we don't on an ongoing basis pay those wages or portions. Our goal is to get somebody employed in a permanent basis with an employer, whether for-profit or nonprofit type of scenario. But yes, there are, in some cases, when we're working with an individual and they qualify for the WIOA program, we can do, internship, work experience, OJTs, and in some of those cases, we provide a portion of the wage, or in some cases, we can pay the full wage of the individual.
Okay, great, thank you.
And along that lines, right now, there are actually going to be two programs implemented. One is a national emergency grant that was directly related to COVID. And then there was some additional funding left over that the Workforce Development Council took from last program year, and some COVID dollars that the Workforce Development Council had obtained. They've taken those funds and they're helping to establish a program in which is there to help service individuals that maybe don't meet all of the qualifications for the WIOA programs, And in turn, we can do some of the same types of services with those individuals through those two grants. And those have just come out. The National Emergency Grant Program, we just got the funding for it. A matter of fact, this week, we just got the funding for it yesterday. So that program is just starting, and it's actually directly related to working with nonprofits. And then the other, the Workforce Development Council's funding, that should be coming through here in the next few weeks. So there are avenues that we could utilize as well with those.
Okay, great.
Questions? Any others? Again, you know, oh, go ahead.
Just a quick question. Is our job fair that we're hosting, I'm presuming, is off for next month, or are we still on? Do you have any idea?
To be determined. We are actually working on it, and I say to be determined. We are getting access to a virtual job fair program that we were looking to actually have implemented already. But we are also working on hopefully the ability to do some of those job fairs in person. So information should be coming out probably in the next week, and whether or not we're going to be able to pull the one off for next month or not.
Okay, great.
We're trying to get those back again. We haven't opened up, you know, of course, this meeting before it went virtual used to take place, of course, in our conference room. We are working to get those things open back up. But as long as we're currently in stage 4 across the state, in order to maintain social distancing and so forth, we just haven't quite got there yet. But there are certain circumstances in which we can utilize some of our conference room facilities, and especially like with job fairs, if we can create a situation where we can maintain the social distancing, have people maybe set up through appointment type of scenarios where they actually come in, meet with employers and so forth, we might be able to pull those things off. So. Anything else?
Great.
Again, if you need access to phone numbers or even just a follow-up of all the information, if you go to the website labor.idaho.gov, there's a job seeker side, there's unemployment side, there's business side of things. All of the information that I just talked about, access to numbers, to emails, all of that is right there on that website. And the links will take you to the various locations for all the very specific parts of it.
Hey, Dave, you mentioned a lot of the assistance through the WIOA, and one of them that stood out to me was childcare. Do you have many individuals that are receiving that type of assistance?
Not a ton. So a couple of things. Again, typically when we're helping with childcare, it might be a situation of either where somebody's attending school in a short-term environment and we might be providing assistance there for a short period of time, or in cases where we have enrolled an individual and once they find employment, sometimes we'll pay like the first month of childcare in order for them to get into their new job and get established. And then, you know, they end up having to be responsible. Any of those programs, whether it be childcare when we're providing assistance, gas vouchers, or in some of those cases where we provide assistance for rent. In all of those circumstances, our primary goal is to get a person to where they can be self-sustaining. So we have to have a plan in place even before we pay for or reimburse those situations. What's going to happen to get that will provide the assistance to get that person to a self-sustaining situation. And so as we're looking at them, the other thing that I will say is in the past, predominantly our programs were geared towards, or kind of the emphasis, especially in our area, was helping in a lot of ways with the educational side of things, helping get people into training, paying their tuition, helping with books, those types of things. Right now, partly because of some of the atmosphere that COVID created, partly because of the amount of money that was generated as a result of COVID and some of the additional dollars that we've gotten in, we are doing or moving forward, we're going to do a lot more assistance of some of those types of things. We're going to look at what we call supportive services. Rather than the high dollar events, we're going to do a lot more of those supportive service types of things. And in the past, we hadn't been doing that. But culturally, some things have changed. And so not that we won't have those places where we'll, assist individuals with their tuition and training and those types of things, but there's a lot more openness to providing assistance. So moving forward, we'll see a little bit more of it. Any other questions? And of course, you're always welcome if you have specific questions to either give me a holler or drop me an email. Emails are pretty simple, even for my staff. It's our first and last, well, first name dot last name at labor.idaho.gov. So again, in my case, it would be dave.darrow, D-A-R-R-O-W, at labor.idaho.gov, and Idaho is spelled out. That's my direct email. My direct extension is 3743. If somebody needs to call me direct, you can actually go to any office.
944.
And in any office across the state, put my extension in and you get directly to me as well. So.
And the main number you said was 208-457-8989?
8789.
8789, thank you. Glad I checked. Okay.
Well, thank you again for the opportunity, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to holler.
Well, thank you, Dave. I think that was great information, and I'm sure that we'll try and summarize this and maybe have you double check it. I'll get it to Chris so he can send it out in our helps bulletin, and try and let people know about what you have offering and how to access the resources. So I'll put that website and phone number in the chat just for everybody to copy and paste it if you want, but it'll also be in the bulletin and the notes that Chris sends out typically next week. So thanks again, Dave. You're welcome to hang on to the call and listen to what else we have going on and ask questions of us. So now I would like to open it up to anyone to share what opportunities, resources, whatever they have going on.
I can start. So if you don't know who I am, I'm Kristen with Mountain States Early Head Start, and our program serves pregnant women and then families with children birth to age 3. We are typically a home visiting program. However, obviously we're doing everything virtually right now, but we are still providing services. We're still providing education opportunities, dropping off curriculum packets with opportunities for families to really get engaged and keep their children learning. We're offering a lot of virtual things. We have a cooking class coming up for our enrolled families with our culinary expert. And then we also have playgroups on Facebook every Wednesday at 11 a.m. And then we just started doing Zoom interactive playgroups with our enrolled families. So we are still enrolling. We have spots available. They're still receiving services. We're doing the best that we can, but we need the babies and the toddlers and the pregnant women because we have openings. So please send anybody our way. And if you need any further information, if you need RAC cards, let me know. Otherwise, everyone can just enroll or apply on our website, which is msehs.org.
I have a quick question for you, Kristen.
Yeah.
I know that Nurse Family Partnership has a stipulation that it needs to be a first-time pregnancy, I believe. I could be wrong about that, but is that the
Yes.
case for early Head Start?
No, we will take any pregnancy and any children that are birth to age 3. We have some families that have been enrolled with us for over 10 years because they keep having babies and we keep letting them enroll. So that's not a stipulation for us at all.
Okay, thank you. And you
Yeah.
also, you're in Kootenai, all of the
Kootenai.
municipalities in Kootenai, correct?
Yeah, we're in Kootenai, Bonner, and Shoshone.
Thank you.
Yeah. And that's all for me.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
I just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Angie Reed, and I'm the new case manager for Anchor House, Idaho Youth Ranch. And this is my first meeting, so hi, everybody. I don't know how familiar everybody is with Idaho Youth Ranch, Anchor House specifically, but the case manager position is a new position, and so I'm doing a lot of training on target care coordination and case management and going through all the Optum trainings, and which are super exciting. So my hope is obviously to help our clientele with services in the community. I came from juvenile probation here in Kootenai County, so have a little bit of an idea of what's going on in the community, but always looking for resources. So I just want to introduce myself.
Great, you have a good view. Thanks for being here.
I have too much light in the back. It's like, then if I don't, then yeah.
Perfect.
I don't have anything really work related. I do want to let everybody know that knows Katie Simmons, that she is officially a grandmother as of 4:40 this morning. James Braddock was born, 8 pounds, 1 ounce, 20 and 3/4 inches long. Mother and child are doing well. So
Awesome.
I do have something about, not related to St. Vincent's, but there is a, the federal program that subsidized the farmers, like, you know, basically bought the extra goods from them during COVID, has now ended up into this huge glut of food, apples, onions, potatoes, things like that, that is going to be thrown away if they don't find a place to distribute it. So Barb Smalley's been working on this all week, and without a lot of success, because it would have to be like a second harvest kind of drive-through thing to pick this food up. But I just found out this morning that apparently Lake City Center is going to sign on. And what's happening is that, you know, the Alice population that doesn't qualify for food bank food, when Second Harvest does the drive-throughs, that's the overwhelming number of families and individuals that are going through these drive-throughs to help supplement their food because they can't get assistance with the food banks. So I'll send when I get a date and more information, I'll send an email to Chris, and he can distribute it when this is going to be and when they're going to bring the semi-trailer. And it's an ongoing thing. They have a lot of food that they have to get rid of, and they continuously will keep getting more food. And hopefully Lake City Center is the place to do it. It's kind of a train wreck when they try to set up in a mall parking lot and things like that, because it backs traffic up because there's so many people in this county that like need supplemental food. So just something to keep an ear out for. Hopefully it'll get publicized so that this food doesn't just get thrown away.
And Donna, are there any like stipulations on that? They're not like verifying income or anything? Okay.
No, when they do, well, and I can't speak for Lake City Center, but the program is not designed that way. It basically would just be, you know, just drive through. And I know that Avista also is looking for situations like that so that they can give out their little care package bags with the light bulbs and the strips and the blanket and things like that. The woman, her name is Annette Long from Avista, contacted me and wanted to know, because they're in the same situation, because she's their outreach director and she's been doing presentations at places, you know, until COVID hit. So they have like the plastic for windows and they have weather stripping that they need to like distribute to the community. So she's going to give some to our help center that we can get to our housing units and things like that. But if anybody is in need of that for any of their clients, Avista is also like looking for places and ways that they can help with, energy assistance to lower energy bills. And, they're waiting so that they can start doing public presentations again too, because Avista does a really good presentation on how to lower your energy costs. So.
Donna, do you have the information for Annette, how to get a hold of her?
I'll put it in the chat box. Let me find it.
Thank you.
Great, thank you, Donna.
And Donna, just to let you know, Rural Ice Food Bank does not have an income limitation. So the only portion of our food that's limited is the commodities, that's the government's restriction, but that's like less than 1/4 of the amount of the food they receive from us. So the only thing we required is just a photo ID and them setting up their account with us.
That's good to know. Thank you.
And Wendy, with that, I know you guys are out in Post Falls, but you can service anybody. They don't necessarily have to be in Post Falls.
Yeah, no, we have people, we try to focus mostly on Kootenai County, but we have people who come from Sandpoint or North and Spokane Valley. We don't turn anybody away.
Awesome. I'll go next since I'm unmuted right now, and just want to remind everybody that we do still have funding available for Alice Child Care scholarships. And so if you have a citizen that you're working with that is above that ICCP eligibility limit, or perhaps can't apply for ICCP for other reasons, sometimes what we've learned is that a person that may have been in a domestic violence situation may have an obstacle applying for ICCP if they're trying to maintain privacy and confidentiality of their location. We have dollars available, so it's up to $1,000 per family, and it's paid out in a monthly supplement. So what we see most typically is between $200 and $250 a month that's paid to the provider over a 4 or 5 month period, which provides a supplement not only to the family's budget, but then a reliable tuition supplement to that provider. And it's a period of time that allows that family to plan for coming off of the scholarship. And so during that time, we're working, of course, with Kathy Albin at the Center for New Directions and others to help connect families with additional resources that may help them leverage their budget. So employed or in school are the criteria, and a child in care. Although we did just award a scholarship to an individual who had not yet selected a child care provider because they didn't have the funds. So we were able to kind of advance their scholarship so that they could initially enroll their child and get going on their full-time classes. So if you have individuals who are interested in that or would benefit from that, Kathy Albin at the Center for New Directions is our primary resource, but I'm also available to help, and I've helped a couple of folks through that application process. And we do have a pretty quick turnaround. We're able to review those applications almost on a weekly basis, if not, 2 weeks, and get everything approved pretty quickly. So I know a lot of people are looking for some additional care options with school starting and hybrid models. So if we can help out, we'd really like to be able to.
Carrie, is that just for Kootenai County?
Nope, that is open to anyone in the 5 northern counties.
Thank you.
And United Way also has its community care fund grants open. So they close the end of this month, right, Carrie?
Yep, the deadline is September 30th. And so funding is available for programs in the 3 buckets of education, financial stability, and health. We have a new grant platform that should make your life easier. It's made my life easier. And that funding is a little bit, it takes some planning for that, because if you are selected for a grant, those funds are not released until January 2021. And then Mark, do you want to talk about the COVID relief as well?
Go for it.
Since I just said it. So funds are also still available through the CDA COVID relief pool of funds. And that's also on our website.
And then also, there is some fire assistance and evacuation information. I know that what I read in the paper this morning was that the Blanchard area, people are still, they're allowed to go back to their homes now, but if anything changes, the Red Cross has a Spokane branch where there's information for North Idaho families, and I'll put that in the chat. And then I also got a message that, and you all may have seen this as well, that free school lunches will be available again in drive-through areas. And that was just a JPEG, so we'll put that in the newsletter, but it's not something I can copy and paste into the chat. Anything else?
I can go next. I'm Wendy from Real Life Ministries. We have started a Children's Day program. It's for educators in Kootenai County whose schools are in either the orange or red zone, where they can drop their kids off from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. and it's a free childcare, or not childcare, but a free day program for their kids. And it's up to, I think it's kindergarten through 5th grade, or preschool to 5th grade.
And that was 7
a.m. to 4 p.m.
Great.
That's at the Post Falls Church, or Post Falls Church?
Yeah, and at this point, it's we're specifically for educators. They're hoping to maybe able to open it up to first responders as well if we get enough employees to open up more rooms. So, and then our job fair coming up in October, as was stated, is to be determined.
I'm Lisa with Family Promise in North Idaho. We are currently full. I'm just wondering if there's any resources for parents with grade school aged to middle school aged children for these orange and yellow areas where they're not in school full time. Like, there's places for educators to send their kids to be able to get their schooling during the day, but what about the single parents? I'm having a hard time with that one.
Yeah.
So Lisa, I might suggest, this is sort of like evolving, ever evolving, but there are some providers and childcare providers that are tentatively opening some school age spaces. And so going on to Idaho Stars is the state kind of referral program. And there's no quicker or easier way to do this, except for just calling and seeing if they have any school age spaces, but there are some. So this is from our early care and education contract person, Sam, who has been in communication with a lot of these providers and suggesting how they might be able to take on some additional school age spaces if they're not at capacity right now. So it's not a super solid thing. We're getting requests from other schools. Fernand just called me and said, hey, do we have anything for school age kids? Because their School Plus program already has a wait list. Boys and Girls Club,
They're full.
And those are kind of the ones I know of.
Yep. Okay, thank you, Carrie.
Awesome. All right.
Hi, this is Christy from Navigation.
Hello.
And with Navigation, hi, we are, our operation is kind of, hasn't changed much. We still have our funding and we're still working with clients who are experiencing crisis. As everybody else, we struggle to help clients find available and affordable housing. But really not much has changed other than we're doing everything telephonically. We can meet with clients if there's a barrier to them meeting over the phone. We can schedule in-person, face-to-face if they need to. Just wanted to mention, in case anybody on the call is not aware, that the CDC did issue a national moratorium on evictions. It was effective September 4th and will run through December 31st. So it's not a free-for-all. You can't pay your rent. You actually have to show that you're making efforts to pay your rent. You have to pay as much as you can. Your income has to have been affected by COVID. And you also have to demonstrate that you've made efforts to get community aid to be able to rectify your situation. So for our folks that are, really reaching out and trying and still experiencing reduced income due to COVID, this will be something that is helpful to them. I have a frequently asked questions as well as a form that tenants can fill out and provide to their landlord. It's a declaration, basically, that gives them the ability to provide it to their landlord to avoid that eviction. Now, if they're not making any efforts and they're just not paying their rent, it's likely that they would still be evicted in the court system. However, if they can demonstrate that they're trying and they're putting their best foot forward, this should help save them from an eviction.
That's great. Thank you. Do you have
Chrissy?
a URL you could put in the chat for where that form is?
If I would like to just email it, if that is okay. We are not allowed to use Zoom, so I just call into the calls, but I can certainly email it and then it can be distributed that way if that's all right.
Yep, that's great. You can just reply to Chris's message for this.
Chrissy, is there any help for people with their mortgage payments during this moratorium?
As far as navigation is concerned, yes. We are able to help with either rent or mortgage with our emergency assistance funding. As far as the moratorium through the CDC, I'm not sure about that. This one is specifically geared toward renters. I know that landlords can also, because basically the outcome of this is going to be a lot of landlords, especially like what they consider the mom and pop landlords who own less than 10 properties. They often have mortgages, property taxes, all of that stuff that they're still paying even if they're not receiving rent. So to avoid the landlord going into like a foreclosure type situation, they can apply for a deferment or a forbearance. I have been searching for more resources for landlords just because, we really need to support everybody. If the landlord can't make their payments because they're not getting rent, the end result is still the same. Somebody loses housing. So unfortunately, I don't have a good answer for that. But through navigation, if for homeowners, we are able to help with mortgages as well as rent.
Thank you.
And this is Carlene from Navigation. Just to piggyback off of what Chrissy was talking about, just a reminder that Navigation also has kin care funding, which is funding for families who are raising children who are relatives of them but are not their own. And September is like National Kin Care Month. And so there's an art contest that happens every September called My Family, My Story. And they actually opened it up this year to service providers. So if you have worked with kin care families and would like to participate in that, there's some good info on the 211 website. If you just type in My Family, My Story, you can get info there. And then it's pretty cool if you've never seen it, like the kids do artwork about, what it's like to stay with grandma and, what their life is like and that kind of thing. So it's pretty impacting form of artwork that happens every year by these kin care kids and families. So anyway, I can email that link as well to Chris, just so you guys have it accessible to you, and you can go on there. You can look at past artwork or past years of artwork, and then also if you're interested in participating or know someone who would be interested, it's kind of a cool thing. So
Great, thank you.
Hi, this is Kimberly with Idaho Housing. I just want to piggyback a little. Hello, everybody. I just want to piggyback a little bit. We are still offering help with rent and people who are affected by COVID, and so they can still go to our website at idahohousing.com and look up COVID. We are still helping with that. As far as homeowners go, there is a place on our website also where they can go and they can speak with a housing counselor who will help them through that process. So we do also help people who have home loans. But right now we actually have a lot of money. So we have a lot of ability to help renters right now. So there's really if somebody's affected by COVID, there's not much reason for them not to be able to pay their rent. It's just a little bit more difficult if it's just related to other things. We don't have any funding for that, but definitely if it's related to COVID, we can for sure help. And I'll put our website and phone number into the bulletin as it comes out. So
great.
And I just have to say that I did give the resource that you mentioned last month during Alice to our family consultants, and we've actually had 2 of our families that you guys have been able to help with. So nice. Thank you. It's just always nice to hear when it kind of comes back. So
that's awesome.
This is Kathy with Center for New Directions at North Idaho College. As Carrie mentioned, I am helping to support the Child Care Scholarship through United Way of North Idaho. And I also do a lot of the services that Dave Darrow mentioned today with the Department of Labor and resume building. And I'm basically a resource finder here in the community. And I will work with individuals in whatever they need to gain employment, or if they've lost a job and want to explore a new career, if they're looking for educational paths or whatever that might be for them to kind of move forward in life. I'm able to help with all of those resources. Also, if they're wanting to go back and get their GED, we have our Adult Education Center here at North Idaho College that I'm able to help with. And it's so exciting to hear all these resources. Every time I feel almost overwhelmed because I sometimes feel alone when I'm helping individuals, community members or families. And then I'm reminded when I come to these Alice Task Force meetings, how many resources are available to us in our North Idaho community. So thank you everyone for sharing out, because it just refreshes my mind and makes me realize. And Kimberly, I also this past week have referred 2 people to COVID-19 with Idaho Housing. And so thank you for that.
Awesome. Thank you. Anyone else have a resource they'd like to share? Perfect. Well, we went a little over an hour, but this was great information, and I appreciate everyone's participation. Thank you again, Dave, for sharing all the resources the Department of Labor offers. And we will push out your phone number and website with the next newsletter. So thank you, everyone, and have a great day and enjoy what's left of summer.
bye.
Thanks.
Bye.